one of the cool things is that Rob Stark in season 2, he decides that he wants to get, for whatever reason, he wants to ally with Pike, right? Theon Greyjoy's family. So he says, "Yo, I'm gonna send Theon back home to talk with his dad so we can get ships and stuff because that would really help us." And Catelyn says, "Absolutely fucking not. I was there when the Greyjoys first did a rebellion, and what happened was your father, Ned Stark, and Robert Baratheon killed the two Greyjoy sons and took the third one, Theon Greyjoy, as basically a captive. Like, yeah, he was a steward or whatever and a squire, but in reality, it was actually they took him as a hostage so that they would never go, like the Greyjoys would never go into rebellion again. I have your only son. I'll leave you with Yara Greyjoy, and she's named Asha in the books. And so when Rob says, I'm going to send Theon back, because this is not as apparent. I feel like the relationship isn't developed that much in the show. From my perspective, it's not developed that much. But Theon and Rob Stark are best friends. They're actually best friends. They do blatantly say it once, but I don't think you feel it as much when you watch it. But they do say it. So when Theon turns on Rob and everything, he says, "My best friend," right? Like, stab me in the back.
Yeah.
And so Catelyn is not for it. She said, "This is a bad idea. This is a really bad idea." And anyway, he does it anyway because he's hard-headed and Starks are just that way. So he sends Theon back home, and Theon obviously is just so easily manipulated by his father. His father just berates him the entire time he gets there. He's like, "Oh, they put you in skirts. You know, you're their bitch now. Do you also fetch their chamber pot at night and stuff like that?" Like, he just constantly shits on him. And it makes Theon feel bad. He's like, "Yeah, you can't serve me and you can't serve the Starks at the same time. You have to pick which family is yours." Eventually, Theon says, "You know, I'm gonna choose my original family, the Greyjoys." And he turns on Robb Stark and the Starks, who've been nothing but good to him.
Yeah,
Right?
unlike the
They've done.
Starks, Theon is not hard headed, and he doesn't have like a stout standing ground. Like, he's so easily swayed, manipulated, and
Yes.
he just fucking
Yes, actually.
he just
Yes.
falls in line. Like, and he's kind of what's interesting when you think about it, because he was like a steward, a hostage, whatever. But he's more of like a princely, like he has more of a highborn mindset than the Starks do.
He
Like,
does.
he acts like he's a highborn and he's like really important and like women are entitled. You know what I mean? Like, he
Yeah,
acts
he does.
like he's
He
bigger than
carries
he
himself
is.
snobby. He's very
Yeah, he's
snobby.
very snobby, and like he has this whole, like, when he tries to fuck his sister before he realizes it's his sister. But his whole demeanor is the fact that, like, this is owed to him in some way, and then, like,
Yes.
he's so easily beaten and broken down, and he's just
Yeah, you're right. He's the exact opposite of a Stark. Starks are impossible to change their mind. Whereas Theon, you can change his mind by just attacking him mentally.
yeah. And
And
then
yeah, one of the misplays I have listed here is that he does try to fuck his sister, which is wild. I don't care that he didn't know that it wasn't. I don't care that he did not know that it was his sister. The fact that okay, one, I don't care how old my sister gets. I don't care if I didn't see my sister since she was 5. I would know what my sister looks like. I don't give a fuck. I would just know what my sister looks like at 28 as opposed to 8. I just don't agree with not knowing what your sister looks like. That's just wild to me. And it just kind of speaks to how much of a whore he is, because they show him fucking a lot and like going after prostitutes and stuff like that. We know that he visits whorehouses the same as Tyrion does. He's naturally like a ladies guy. He's a misogynist, actually. He's
yeah,
more of that. Like, he's a disgusting pig, that type of guy. He's a womanizer. And he tries to fuck every woman that he runs across, really. Like he doesn't. Theon doesn't have any picks. He just
nah,
doesn't, including his own sister, who he didn't recognize was his sister. So he's feeling her vagina and shit while they're riding horseback to up the pike, and making all these sexual advances towards her, which is so funny when you watch it again. You know, because it's just cringe. It's so fucking cringe, and she lets him do it because she's also one. She's gay, which you find out way later. If you didn't get it from just, I guess, the way she is, but they don't make it apparent until one of the later seasons when she has like a girlfriend. But she's gay, so she's not attracted to men at all. And when he's literally groping her, she doesn't stop him because she wants to humiliate him, which
Yeah.
I think that's a bit much, personally. Like, it's George R. R. Martin's world. He has a very, as much as I love the guy, he has a very sick mind. Like, a lot of this shit is just sick. The incest, and then the incest again.
The thing is, though, it makes sense, though, like, because, like, I mean, I guess Yara wouldn't necessarily know this, but it plays into who Theon is for the entirety of the series, and that he is so easy to humiliate. Like,
yes,
he fucking walks himself into humiliation
constantly. It's a theme of his. It's a constant theme of his. So, they drive it home that he loves sex, which ends up losing his penis later on and stuff like that in later seasons. But he makes a lot of misplays too. His first misplay, obviously, turning on the Starks. That was just a huge misplay. The Starks have been nothing but nice to him. And it's funny, when he first comes to Winterfell, he storms inside of Bran's room. Bran is sleeping. Bran wakes up, and Bran wakes up like how me and you wake up, where we're literally kind of groggy and like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you turn the light out? Like, what? Like, all right, give me a minute. Let me get myself together. Bran wakes up like that. And Theon's like, hey, Winterfell is mine. I stormed the castle with my men and I took it. The castle was mine. And Bran's like, what? Why'd you take Winterfell? And he's like, did you hear me? Winterfell's mine. You need to get dressed and come downstairs and tell everybody to swear fealty to me now. He's like, well, I'm not going to do it. And he's like, yes, you are, because I took the castle and you're going to obey me. Otherwise, I'm going to start killing people. And he's like, Theon, I'm never going to do it. And then Theon says, you want to meet me downstairs or else. And he turns around and walks away. And as he walks away, Bran says to him, did you always hate us? And he doesn't say anything. He walks out. I thought that scene was so good. I actually felt that. Like, I fucking felt that part. When Bran stopped him as he's walking out, he said, Theon, did you always hate us? And Theon could not give him a straight answer. He couldn't even say it because he actually doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's just a fucking bitch.
He's a puppet, and I hate it. Like, Theon is he's one of the best and worst characters. He's great for the show. It's kind of how I feel about Cersei, right?
Yeah.
They're so good for the show, but I hate Theon as a character.
Because they help make events happen, right? But, like, I hate him so much. Because he's so... And that's also why... Because I don't think he was redeemed. Just the quick jump all the way forward.
Bro,
when you go to season 8, people are like, Theon's redeemed. And, like, I remember when he dies at the end of Game of Thrones... And people say, like, how he went out, he's redeemed. No, he's not. Like, he's just not. Like, he's still fucking corny. Like, I'm sorry.
I agree with you. I felt the same way. I actually wrote it on Facebook when it happened. I said, well, Theon's story arc just ended, and I honestly don't feel shit. I watched Theon die. I didn't feel a single thing when the Night King killed him. I also didn't feel anything about his little redemption arc, like trying to help Jon Snow out when he got to Dragonstone, right?
Yeah.
And Jon Snow's like, the only reason I'm not killing you is because of my sister. I don't feel shit for Theon Greyjoy after he did what he did because it goes so far. I have a lot of misplays here. So Theon, okay, he takes Winterfell. He takes Winterfell with like 20 men, so he can't actually hold Winterfell because he doesn't have enough men to hold Winterfell.
He was only able to take it because, like, they're all out right now.
Yes, literally, Robb is in open rebellion out on the fucking road, really far away, and so this is his only opportunity to do it. So it's a coward's act because he knows that Bran is the only one there.
And he's aware. He also knows that Bran is crippled.
Yes, and Yara makes jokes about it too. She's like, "Who gave you the bigger fight, the 8-year-old or the cripple?" Like she blatantly says, like, it's because he's like, "I took Winterfell, the greatest castle in the north," and she's like, "Yeah, well, who gave you the biggest fight? Was the 8-year-old or was it the cripple?" Like, don't act like you did some great thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, they literally bricked. They drew their opening hands, they fucking bricked, and you beat them, and you're like, "Yeah, I just beat fucking Jeff Jones." Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, no. Like, you still suck. Oh, he's so bad. So yeah, Theon is he causes a lot of problems. So when I said earlier that the reason why the Freys turned on the Starks is also because Theon took Winterfell and he killed supposedly he killed Bran and Rickon, Starks in Winterfell. So at this point, from the perspective of anyone, actually, not even just Walder Frey, but from anyone's perspective, the Starks are in a terrible spot. Their home is taken from them, and no one knows that the Greyjoys only have like 20 men there. Like, no one knows that if Robb just went back north, he would have just retook Winterfell.
Yeah, with like zero fucking effort.
Zero effort. He would have just took it. But, Roose Bolton does all this trickery and has his son. He's like, oh, he tells Robb, like, oh, my son can do it. And that's a whole thing that we'll talk about later on. But yeah, so Theon takes Winterfell, and Yara comes to Theon and tells him straight up, okay, it's great that you got the castle, but the dumbest thing you ever did was you killed those boys because they're worth more alive than dead. The North will never rally behind a Greyjoy. That's just never going to happen. Also, the Greyjoy's power comes from the sea. Hey guys, if you like this clip, we have full video versions of our podcast episodes available on the IMNerd Patreon, as well as exclusive content.
If you'd like to listen to our full podcast episodes or find us on any other social media platforms, you can do so by clicking the link tree below.